All right. In the last video we were doing on the network scanner, we kind of got done doing Tokyo and getting that running, and so we could do concurrently scanning the network. I think that was a good place to leave off. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to take that data that we've gathered and we want to save that into a database. So basically at this point we've scanned and we've got all of our data and we want to basically store it for more long-term usage. And so with that in mind, let us get SQLite and SQLite and let's generate our database schema and just get all of that going. I'm not going to go with an ORM. I don't feel like we need it. I also wanted to experiment, like I purposely did not design this database in my head because I wanted to test ChatGPT a little bit and see what it generated if I gave it a description of what I want the database structure to look like. Anyway, it's just interesting. Like, again, like doing these live streams, or one is all about learning and expanding knowledge and kind of stretching what we're doing. So I want to stretch that a little bit and see how we get it. So with that in mind, let us get started. All right. Maybe. There we go. All right. So let's jump to ChatGPT first. And I am working on an application and I want to use SQLite. So I want to use the SQLite database. So one thing I was thinking on this application in general, at first I was like, how are we going to handle, we're using Tokyo and we're going to get all of these hosts and we go through here, we spawn out all the async tasks, we execute them all and join them, and then down here we return them. I was like, that's like super frustrating because how do we handle concurrently connecting to SQLite? And it dawned on me, we don't have to. So that's one thing, is like if you have multiple processes running, trying to connect and do a bunch of connections, we could do a connection pool, but I don't think we need to go that far, because really what we're doing is we're scanning, then we're returning all of the data. We can just run it of like save hosts and then pass it in hosts. And then that's going to save it out to the database. We want to put our checking in there and poof, we're good. So we don't need to go as crazy as I was kind of imagining when I was first thinking of this project. Anyway, let's jump back to here. I'm working on an application and I want to use SQLite so that, so I want to use SQLite. Module, I think I'll start right now. Great. Yeah. However, I need to design the database. So this is where it's going to get a little interesting. So let's just have verbal diarrhea with how we want to describe what we want to do. I am scanning the network and I will get back several pieces of information. They will include the IP address, the MAC address, and what's that? I guess really it's not several pieces, it's two main pieces of information, I think, right? Yeah, we're getting back. We get the MAC from our ARP call. We get the ICMP just from pinging. Do we care? Do we care if we were able to ping it? Because to a degree, if yeah, we do care. I think we care because let's see, MAC address. Also, whether the host is pingable. Yeah. So I think that's important because we can mark that down as a piece of information to know about, and future scans we can deal with that It's also will be interesting when we look at a host of whether or not we've ever actually seen it and pinged it. Plus, once we figure out what the dumb thing is that's not pingable but shows up in ARP, it'd be good to leave a note about that. So we also want to, I'm not gonna, the pingable. So do we connect the pingable? Yeah, we should probably connect the pingable to the MAC address, since that is the hardware address, so that we know that that specific host, because it's not necessarily always going to have the same IP address. The only thing we really care about on the IP address is what is currently at that IP address. So pingability and notes need to be based on the MAC address, but you could conceivably do notes on the IP address as well. However, you could just return back all of the notes for that particular IP address whenever we do that. So we're going to base it all on the MAC address. Okay. The pingability of the host based on the MAC address. Really, we don't care too much. What we care about is the history of an IP address, because IP addresses can change over time to different hosts. So we want to be able to track the IP addresses that get attached to MAC. No. We will track the MAC addresses that get attached to the IP address, so we can do some sort of history tracking. I think I said something about history. Yeah, I did. But I'm trying to be overly verbose. Like I said, verbal diarrhea of what's going on in this thing. So we get the IP here, so we can do some sort of history tracking. Yeah, so then for the, I think I'm repeating, but who cares? MAC address, we want the pingability, and we want notes. We want notes. The idea is that I will query for the IPs, and it will return the latest host record for that IP address, so that we know what is actively at that IP. We could also see a history of what was there based on a query to get all of the notes attached to a MAC address that is attached to an IP address. Yeah, so let's see. So I thought about labeling, doing a label, so naming it, but actually we can forego that, and if we just put a standard in our notes that the first line is our label, then like we'll always have it, and so we just return back that first line as part of our thing. If we don't, I mean, again, this is a personal application. This thing isn't, going to be. I don't see this thing having legs beyond me. I mean, unless other people want to look at it and mess with it, I could throw it up on GitHub. But you're gonna have to let me know if you want me to do that. So let's see. I think that's. Oh, I also want each table to have a created and modified field to track when a record was added. and when a record was modified. Record. So we don't necessarily need to have these, but it'd be nice to have. I think we need to create it because we want to know when it was added, like so we can track over time. The only reason to really have modified is to understand when notes change. Because in reality, what's going to happen is you're going to get the IP address. You're going to know when the IP address first appeared on the network. Then you're going to know when the MAC address, that host, was going to be attached to the IP address based on that created. Really, at that point, modified, the only thing that we're going to modify for a record is the notes, because we want to build this in such a way that we just add a new record to the database, even if it is a duplicate for a host. Interesting. So that just changed it. Yeah. So, okay, I'm not going to model this in my head like I'm trying to do. Okay. Also on HTML to create a modified date. In reality, we want to be able to have a host that is the MAC address, the created and modified, and the notes. Then we want to be able to associate over time what IP address they attach to. Yeah. Yeah, I can think of a couple of different ways to model that. Anyway, but let's see what Jippity tells us to do. Okay. Okay, let me. Yeah. Can you give me a database schema to accomplish this and for SQLite? And let's do this, an explanation of how the schema is supposed to work. Okay, I want to do this, and then I want to see if I can't get it to generate me a diagram, an entity diagram of the thing. Because I always get a kick out of when ChatGPT tries to do that. It's just kind of fun. So let's see what it does. Sending a database schema for tracking network host information, including IP and MAC address, pingability, and historical records. It involves creating a set of interconnected tables that efficiently store and retrieve the required information. Given the requirements you have outlined, I suggest a schema where there are three main entities: host, IP address, and ping records. Interesting. Oh, come on, you stupid camera. I think it's the camera's going to go out again. Son of a gun. I guess when I plugged it into charge, it didn't plug it in charge. So, oh, it's just super annoying. Okay, we're going to keep going though. Okay, so the host table. This table will store the unique hosts identified by the MAC address along with notes specific to each host. The host ID, the MAC address, the text, which is unique. Okay, unique constraint notes. Text is nullable to store optional notes about the host. Awesome. Created and modified to track, blah, blah, blah. Okay, IP address table. This table will store and track the IP address and their association with the host over time. The IP ID, the IP address, the host ID, which is a foreign key relationship, assigned from when the IP was assigned to the host, and assigned to the date, time, when the IP was reassigned or released. The ping records table, the table. Ping ID, host ID, pingable, ping time. No, I don't like this. I don't like this schema. No. Yeah, this is where it's interesting. I want a pingable table. And the I mean the assigned from and the assigned to is just not even doesn't even make sense. Just doesn't even make sense because it isn't associated. I guess it can make sense. Because you can see when it was associated, but it's a one-time record. Because it is a one-time record. It just shows the last instance, not the instances of assignment over time. Really what I want is to know when a host was assigned to an IP address. Specifically, if a host has been assigned multiple times, then I want to track that as well. I don't want to poison the well with the idea that I'm going with in my head, but let's just keep going. Pingability. I am unsure where pingability should live because it could live. I mean, I'm back and forth. Like at first, I thought we should talk about whether the host is pingable. Okay, I think we're good. All right, that okay, that makes sense. All right, hopefully you all can hear me. That was fun. We're gonna go with that. That's the words we'll go with. It's fun. Hope you can hear me. All right, so let's see. Interesting. Not gonna worry about it. That would actually make sense. Okay, sorry. I totally was having a brain fart there. Okay, so I'm unsure about ping ability should see the reason that I'm a little like unknown on this is because I could totally see it being yeah. I I I could see it being on the MAC address so that you know when the host was able to access it, or you were able to access, you could reach the host. But I could also see pingability on the IP address because it's like, when was the last time you were able to actually hit that specific IP? However, we don't care about IP address. Now that I'm thinking, we do not care about IP address. We care about hosts. So we're going to go with pingability needs to be on the, I'm unsure. Okay. Pingability needs to be on the host because we care about whether we can see it or not. See the host or not. So does that make sense? So do we have a pingability record where no, I think we just do a bool of like whether it's currently reachable or not. Let's not do any over time. Is it pingable? Let's just have it be a bool. I don't care about pingability over time. Yeah. All right, let's see what we have. Based on your feedback, it seems you're looking for a more streamlined schema that focuses on the current state of the network with less emphasis on historical pingability. Yes. And without tracking IP assignment durations. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Let's revise. Yeah, I just care about the host specifically. Host tonight. This schema will track each time a host identified by a MAC address is assigned to an IP address, including the capability to see all past assignments. The pingability will be associated directly with the host. See host ID, MAC address, pingable, notes, created, modified. Yep. IP address table. The tracks the IP address assignments to host over time. Yeah, I still don't think assigned on makes sense. I mean, see, host ID, IP address, the host table, this table now includes a pingable field to reflect the current network visibility of the host. Yeah. This setup simplifies tracking each host's current status without maintaining a history of pingability. Yeah. IP address table, by recording each IP address assignment as a separate entry with a timestamp assigned. Oh! This is inverting the direction I was thinking about. This table allows for tracking the history of IP assignments for each host. The design supports multiple assignments over time for each host, providing the history tracking you want. Implementation and usage. The schema supports the following use case: current host status. Query the host table to get the current pingability status and notes for any hosts. Host IP history, query the IP addresses table, joining with hosts on the host ID to get all past IP assignments for a host ordered by assigned on. Latest IP for each host, query the IP address table grouped by host ID, selecting the latest assigned on entry. But this, yeah, see, this is why it's pretty cool. Okay, I still had stuck in my head that everything is based on the IP address, since that's what we're querying, that's what we're scanning for. But really all I cared about was the host. So in this case, it's like we can still do the same things, but we are saving the IP address information as the thing that we're tracking based on the host. But then when we go back to query, yeah,
in a sense, all we care about are the existing hosts and what their IP address is, not what the IP address is and their host. Yeah, my brain, yeah, okay, cool. Awesome. I like it. Okay. Okay, here we go. So table if not exist host. Yep. Host ID integer primary key on them. Yep. MAC address unique. Yep. Pingable boolean not null. Okay. Notes text created. Okay. So create a trigger. Create a trigger if not exists. Update host modified after update on host. Wait. Create trigger if. Yeah. After update on host. Nice. Triggers are so awesome when you can use them, and they totally make sense in this case. Okay, cool. All right, let's do dot schema. No, no, no. SQLite. Uh, host.db. Near not SQL error near not syntax. What? Okay, let's do these one at a time. Copy. Uh, hmm. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. I didn't catch that. Says suggest issue of SQL error. Given your description, the most likely cause is syntax misunderstanding that SQLite is interpreting differently. Since the detailed syntax did not resolve your issue, I'll simplify the approach and focus on correcting potential causes for the SQLite error near not syntax. Okay, let's shoot. Okay, let's do this one chunk at a time. Uh, dot schema. Okay, cool. Copy, Control V. Create. You know what? Create table hosts. There. I can kind of see what auto increment syntax. ChatGPT, you're failing me. I wanted this to be easy. See, the errors suggests that might be misinterpretation of how SQLite handles auto. In SQLite, the autocomplete keyword is used with primary integer primary key to ensure that a unique automatic. Okay. So copy, create table. Huh. Okay, I don't understand. SQLite, create a table. Create table, if not exists, schema name dot. What? I don't create. Hold on. Okay. RM hosts, because I might have goofed it up. SQLite 3 host.db. Create table hosts. No, we're gonna hosts. We're gonna do ID. Integer primary key. So I just might have, okay, drop table hosts. Okay. Copy. I guess I just made it mad. I think I borked it with that first run because it just seems to be working now. Okay. Cool. This has always been a fascinating thing to me about SQLite is that if you want to look at the schema, it just gives you the code that you use to generate the tables. So I just, anyway, from hosts. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So we want to do, now we want to do cargo add raw SQLite. Can you generate me the insert statements I need with SQLite? Okay, so I think in the meantime, let us do so we have target. No. We have networking. So let's create another module. We're going to do database or DB. Okay. Make dir DB. Whoa. Edit DB. No. I think edit networking. That's what I want. Plus move DB to source. Source. Okay. Touch DB. No, source DB. mod.rs. Touch source db. What do I want it to be? SQLite. Let's just do SQLite. And then we want to do source db mod pub mod SQLite. There we go. Edit source db SQLite. Sweet. And then edit source networking. Let's just do ping for giggles and grins. Hub async function. Get host. But what are we going to get it on? List hosts. There we go. I want to use. I wonder, interesting function. Nice. That's not what I want. Function get. Okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. We have that SQLite. Yep. Insert host. Copy. Insert into host, the MAC address, pingable notes, created, modified, datetime.now. We actually don't need those because those are done by the database. Okay, here we go. So 3, so MAC address, pingable notes. Sweet. Pass those in. It's going to return back a result. What is the result that it's going to turn back? Wait. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Okay. All right. So the next thing is insert an IP address. Okay. Thinking about it, there is no real difference between created and assigned on in this instance. I think I thought that at one point and then I like zoomed past it. So let's not do. Uh-oh. Oh. So let's not do that. Yeah, let's all right, let's not do this. We'll come back to that. Oh, we'll come back to that too. I want the schema. I want the SQL to alter the table for IP address because I don't want to use assigned on since it is functionally equivalent to created. Okay, so don't need any of these. Yeah, so that just keeps it normal. Can wait. If you decided the assigned column of a table is functionally equivalent to created column and you wish to remove it, you can do so by altering the table structure. However, SQLite has some limitations when it comes to alter table statement as it doesn't directly support dropping columns. Instead, you'll need to follow the multi-step process to achieve. Son of a gun. Let's just copy it and see what happens. And IP addresses. Yep, worked. Sweet. Okay. With SQLite, can you give me the query for getting all for listing all hosts? Yeah. Cool. Notes is an optional string. Yep. Create a modified. Okay. Okay. Can you do the same for IP addresses? You need to make these public. We're gonna find out. All right. Ooh, look at this. Select assignment ID MAC address from the hosts. Okay, I for IP address. The assignment ID, the MAC address, the IP address created and modified from the IP address. I don't think we need that. I mean, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, we'll leave it. From the IP address, as we join on hosts, where host ID is that, okay. Sorry, I went silent. I was reading the code. Okay, okay, sorry, my brain was farting for a second. Okay. Yep. So then on and okay, so then we're gonna, yeah, turn that, set it to new vector. We want to ultimately do that, yeah, we're gonna do that as a result. Vector IP addresses, yep. Functionally the same thing there. So I think we have what we need for this list hosts. Yeah, it's a good call out, buddy, in your brain. All right, we want to make these public. This is kind of our ORM because it was generated code for us. And this is something that we could write fairly easily, but I don't want to. All right. So let's go for mod DB, use DB SQLite establish connection, and just do all these for the moment. All right. Insert host, insert IP address, list hosts, establish. Oh, and I missed. Should have list IP addresses. List IP addresses. There we go. Boom. Cool. Yep. So just for fun, let us, first I'm going to do CP host.db to hosts.db.back because I just want to delete that database as I'm playing. I don't want to have to this is going to be equivalent to migrate, our first migrate, just copy it to a new database, delete the old one, and we're ready to go again. All right. Yep. So we want to establish a connection. Then we want to, well, stop being helpful. Actually, don't. Yeah. So here we go. Run unwrap or blank. No, I want. I want it to. It should throw if it doesn't work, and I want it to. Type annotation cannot infer type. What? Uh, Hold on. Let IP host.ip unwrap. Hmm. Host IP is optional IPv4. Mac is an optional string. So I can see the unwrap or. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Type annotation needed, cannot infer type. I mean, it's a freaking host. I want a vec of host. Okay, sure. Yeah, we're not gonna have any notes, so that's gonna be blank. Pingable. IC and P is I30. I wonder if that converts. Let's see. I see. Okay, yeah, as a bool, so I'm sure I guess that could probably converts it to an integer. Interesting. So we have the connection. We're passing it in. The MAC address. We're passing in. Pingable, some, expect, failed. Okay. List hosts. I don't actually care about this. Do I? Do I care about hosts? Do I care about this? Host ID. Oh, okay. Yeah. Last. Okay, that's interesting. So it's gonna get the last one. Then it's gonna get the host ID. What is? Let's see. List host. What is it? What is it not like about this? Build host ID of struct SQLite host is private on private fit. Okay. Pub struct host. Everything's public. Okay. Hold on. No. I guess I can actually look up here. Yeah, SQLite connection result, no params. Unresolved import. Unresolved import. SQLite. No params. No params in the root. This is actually something that's always been a frustration with learning new languages. Is figuring out where everything is. I just it's just so confusing sometimes where all the stuff is. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Basically, it doesn't know why it's not there, but we can use an empty list or something. So okay. Okay, so this one still is getting me. So it's returning a vector of hosts. And it's a SQLite host. Yeah. Yeah, no. It's private. It's, do I need to is this something that I need to do? Wow. Okay. Let's just do that. Nope. All right. I don't really care too much at the moment. All right. We have not run this the entire time for this entire stream, so this is going to be raunchy. Cargo build. Yep. Cargo run. Wow. Okay. Double check that. Select all from hosts. There we go. That is pretty cool. Interesting. So we've got the ones here for pingable. We don't have the IP addresses associated, so select all from IP address. There we go. Oh, a host ID. Yeah. It's just kind of trippy seeing two IDs across here, but it's basically it's because it's the same record, basically. Okay. Cool. This is pretty awesome. Ah, I snorted. All right. This was fun. Uh, we made it pretty far, sort of. We used ChatGPT to generate us out a basically a database connection system. So that was cool. I mean, we definitely have some code cleanup to do, and really, it's not that complicated. What the crap did I do? I mean, really, in here, we're getting our hosts. We got that working. That was using Tokyo. We're getting our connection to SQLite here. Then we're looping. I mean, there's probably better ways to do this. I'm just like trying to get it to work, and we'll clean it up later. Then we're looping through. We're unpacking the data from up here. In reality, we probably need to do some sort of transformation so that it's a little more easy, and then we pass that in to this insert host or something. I don't know. We can mess with that maybe. Just it might not really matter. Um, but here, yeah, we've inserted in the host. Then we get back the. I'm not a fan of this query. We need to create one where I wonder. Okay, We'll research that out. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Um, I feel like it should be returning the ID whenever you do an insert. When you do an insert into SQLite with SQLite, does it return back the ID of the record that you created? Yes, when you that's what I thought it should have done. So provides a last insert row ID. Yeah. So what should have happened here is instead of this, should have returned the last insert. Okay, so that's something that we'll work on next week. Let's do last insert row ID. It's just been so long since I've like gone down the SQL, like literally 5 or 6 years since I've heavily done anything SQLite. Yeah. Anyway, we'll deal with that next time. But yeah, so at this point, yeah, we have our kind of database layer that needs to be tweaked on some more. And we will next week, let's work on making this smoother and then being able to display the information out. So what I mean by smoother is we want to cover the situation where it does a read of all the hosts and then basically checks if anything has changed in the database. If it has, we'll do an update. If it hasn't, it just moves on to the next one. Then we'll create the command. And if I remember, I want to try to write that from scratch. I want to try to write that function from scratch just to get the reps on it. To update the notes field on a host. So we can add that function in there. Yeah, so now we're just going to work on the ergonomics next of working with the database. Then we'll see how far we get with that next week. Then we'll work on the CLI. Because the question is, do we default to pulling from the database when we display to a user, or do we have it ping? We'll discuss that later. Anyway, we've made progress. I think learned a few things about SQLite specifically in this case. I think we have an interesting database design. And I think the Rust that was generated for us is fairly basic and fairly common. Nothing really stood out as like insane. I mean, yeah, we're not using IP address. And these should be public. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a thing that we learned. Is I kind of wasn't sure on, private or public structs. I mean, it made sense to do it, but it also makes sense to make the elements of the struct as public and kind of get that public-private situation going on. Yeah, I mean, so if we look at some of these, the insert here, we're taking in a connection, we're borrowing, we're taking in a string slice here. We're getting a int converted, and then we're getting a string slice as well to be able to insert in. So fairly basic. Same thing with list hosts. We're preparing the query, then we're going to do the query, and then we're going to return back the host object or host objects from there. I'm going to put it into a vec. This is interesting. Oh, yeah. It's creating a new vector. Really, this is an iterator. I would be willing to bet we could take this iterator, just out of curiosity, and then do like a .collect on it to convert it to a vector. Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to worry about it. We will continue on with this next week. I think this was a good learning opportunity. It sets us up to do some really interesting things on the database side next week. And I am happy with what we got. As we dig into this more, I think we're gonna kind of hit some more edge cases and some more kind of rough spots in Rust, which is really what we need to do, is more rough spots. So with that, I will see you next time for the network scanner. It's probably going to be next Monday. I'm hoping again on Wednesday to get to do the kind of the real world HTMX Rust website stuff. That seemed to be well received last week, so I will continue that this week. So with that, I will see you next time and have a good one.